of course, Trump and Modi have been good friends dating back to his first administration. So, there is the personalistic aspect to it. But when you look at the depth and breadth of all of the different, agenda items on the U.S. India joint statement, I mean, it really is pretty mind-blowing that the U.S. and India have come this far in, recent years when, going back to the Cold War, they weren't so friendly.
You're quite right there, Derek, and both Trump and Modi do seem aligned on a number of issues, such as recreating a golden age of US manufacturing and making India really parallels and echoes that. From that standpoint, does it feel that India perhaps is in the front of the queue in being the first major economy to secure a trade deal and get zero tariffs?
Yeah, it's hard to say, right? I mean, so when Trump announced the tariffs on, nearly all countries back on April 2nd, India got hit with a 27% tariff, which I think was much higher than perhaps they expected, especially since Modi had just been there and everything seemed to be going smoothly. But, we shortly thereafter, the U.S., I guess, put a 90-day pause on those tariffs. And so now we'll kind of see what happens. It provides some breathing room for negotiations. But I think VP Vance being there right now, I think will certainly facilitate a lower tariff barrier that India would have to the U.S. In the future.
Absolutely. And what then are the odds, Derek, in your opinion, of the United States and India closing a trade deal within that 90-day tariff pause period, or is it going to be by autumn at the latest?
It's hard to say. I mean, I think the 90-day period, which now, of course, is down to less than 90 days, right? I mean, the pressure is on for the U.S. And other countries that are hit with higher tariffs, to try to make a deal. And again, I think that more conversation is always better than less or even worse, no conversation. And so, we got to let the negotiations play out a bit. I think India has an inside track with the United States for the reasons that I've already outlined. And so I'm optimistic that there can be lower tariffs. Saying a free trade agreement signed between the two countries seems like it would be perhaps a bridge too far, not just because the U.S. has signed FTAs bilaterally in many years, but also India has a pretty notorious reputation for being difficult to have trade agreements with. And so, we'll see what happens.
Interesting points. And all of this paves the way, perhaps, Derek, doesn't it, for President Trump to visit India as part of the Quad talks and the talks surrounding the security alliances. What's going to be on his agenda? And is defense going to characterize and define the bilateral relationship?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think defense and security is a big part of the Quad. And I think President Trump has, again, when Modi visited back in March, made it clear that selling U.S. defense equipment, possibly to include, modern fighter aircraft to India, right? That is high on his agenda, right? And also, India and the U.S. have shown that they have a similar view of China's rise economically and militarily in the region and how that challenges a free and open Indo-Pacific. And so I expect that there will be conversations about China. But let's also be honest about this second Trump administration. It is quite different than the first because Trump he wants to have, I think, a better relationship with China. And I think part of the trade tariffs and also those trade tariffs that are on China itself are designed to bring China to the negotiating table to try to have a better relationship with Beijing. And so from India's perspective, I think India is hedging a little bit with China itself to ensure that it's strategically not, left out in the cold if there is a U.S.-China détente in the future.